At times in history, great material strides were made. For example, there was a time when Europe was, a couple thousand years ago, the time of Jesus, the time of the height of Rome. White people in Europe were in a certain condition, and they believed in reincarnation. They were called the Celts. They had priests called druids, and Rome was down south in Italy, and Rome came up and conquered eventually. And during that time, Rome was working off of the Greek Enlightenment and making a lot of material progress, inventing a lot of fantastic new material things that had never been seen before, as were other people in other places. And there was a lot of material advancement. And then Jesus came, and that happened, and then Christianity spread in the Roman Empire, and eventually, Constantine, the emperor, converted, and then Paul, he had gone north, and things spread up into Europe, and white man was converted, and eventually America was formed, and here we are. At times in history, when there is overriding material advancement, people like that. They want that because it seems to be ending their suffering, the new material stuff, which is nice, they think. And at those times, the spiritual progress or the spiritual life of mankind is sidetracked by, you could say, science or material advancement. They're related. People's inventive scientific capabilities lead to new material advances like computers, like the internet, like cell phones. And back in Roman times, it was things like water aqueducts, improved irrigation systems, improved methods of building, improved methods of managing cities, etc. So the point I want to get to is this. Religions, man's religions, are often formed out of consideration of current material situations and the eternal spiritual calling. To be exact, Christianity, as we've known it for 2,000 years, is somewhat compromised. They've allowed, in the early days of it, they allowed various considerations to shape the doctrines of the church. Considerations is coming from Latin and Greek, meaning to, it actually means to forecast what will the stars give. It's a fancy way of saying to try to, premeditate what do I want, therefore what should I do now to get what I want. Consider comes from considerio, which means to ponder the stars, actually, interestingly. So, to consider what will be the outcome, they then shaped the religion. That's manipulative, actually. And it backfires. So in so-called Christian countries, actually, people are not that Christian. If you read the basic tenets of Jesus' teachings and of the Bible, you don't find these things being followed very much, even by the people who are supposedly Christians. Because, really, actually, it's not natural to them. It doesn't actually make sense either. Not really. The reason that Christianity has become so widespread, or Islam, same thing actually, same reasons, very similar religion actually, similar concepts and so forth. The reasons these spread go back to great historical facts and realities. Like, for example, if Rome came with a religion to some, kind of backwards village or city in Europe, and the soldiers were carrying that power, which, they did. The soldiers were in power, the Roman government was in power. If it brought in a religion and said, basically, convert or you won't be fed, then everybody converted. It's by force. So similarly, I lived in Bengal, India at times in this life when I was in the Hare Krishna movement, and I saw that our big, huge temple in Mayapur, Bengal, which is in a very poor, rural part of Bengal near Bangladesh, down in the delta of the Ganges River, the villagers in that area would often join our temple and become monks just to get better food. That's why they joined. They would take on the religion, which was their religion in one sense. It's from that area. It's very familiar to them. Chanting Hare Krishna and worshiping Krishna is completely familiar to them. But the fact that they would leave their village life, leave their families, put on a monk's robe, adopt, celibacy, feigned or real, was in order to have a better material life. That's why they did it for real. Similarly, in ancient Europe, that's why many people converted to Christianity. Similar with Islam, long ago, many people converted to spare their lives because it was being spread at the tip of a sword very often. This is definitely true in India, where the history shows that the Mughal invasion was really quite bloody, quite forced upon the people often. So it is everywhere, not special with Islam, but religions in the old times were often spread as part of a great political agenda. People had to convert in order to eat or remain a part of society. Or, for example, very often children were used. Religions would grab a hold of the schools. So if you want your children educated, you basically turn them over to the religious people, who would then convert your children, and eventually, therefore, society. My friends in Ireland say this is still true in Ireland, where the Catholic Church controls the schools. So people are raised with that conception, and thus society ends up with that conception because children become adults. That doesn't make these religions true or correct. That just makes them tools. The past is different than the present. We always are making constant progress, or change at least. At this time, like right now you're watching this video, we have great capacity at this time to share truth, more than before. No one is threatening me with a sword right now. I can make money and go buy food without adhering to any religion. Although I'm in America, I don't have to be Christian. We're quite free here. So I am what I am, which is by choice. I've been all over the world. I'm truly speaking from my heart, from what I've learned from all over the world. I've been to 26 countries. I've read the religious books of many cultures. I've had time and ability to research and study and think, much more than people in the past. 2,000 years ago, how many people traveled all around the world? None. Almost none. Really none. But I've been literally around the globe 4 times. Lived in 26 countries. I've sat and studied and learned from Brahmins in the jungles of India. And I'm half German and half white. And now I live on the coast of a country far, far, far away from there that wasn't even known about to my races or the Indians 2,000 years ago. So times are greatly different. Greatly enhanced, actually.